Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive, where we plunge headfirst into the most compelling stories and pull out those essential nuggets of knowledge so you can be instantly well informed. Today, we're setting the scene for, well, a really high stakes showdown that absolutely delivered on the drama. This wasn't just any old soccer match, it was a crucial FIFA Club World Cup group stage encounter. Massive implications. We're diving deep into Manchester City's emphatic 5-2 victory over Juventus. And look, this win wasn't just about the 3 points. It decisively determined Group G. It potentially steered Manchester City away from a, frankly, brutal round of 16 opponent. And it featured a historic personal milestone that, sent ripples across the entire soccer world. So our mission here is simple: meticulously extract every important detail, every surprising fact, every tactical insight from all the sources, giving you that ultimate shortcut to understanding exactly what happened and, crucially, why it mattered so much.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, if we sort of peer beneath the surface, is just how much tension was bubbling away even before a single whistle blew. I mean, heading into this specific game, these two giants, Man City and Juventus, they were locked, completely tied, not just on points, but get this, identical goal differences too. So this wasn't, some preseason friendly. This was a proper winner-takes-all situation,
Yeah.
a direct decider for who topped the group, and that carrying huge weight for the knockout stages. So throughout this deep dive, we're going to pull apart those dramatic shifts, those key turning points that really tell the full story. The stuff the scoreline alone just can't capture.
Absolutely. And the stage itself just adds another layer, doesn't it? This incredible match, a really significant moment, it unfolded on June 26, 2025. The venue, Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. State-of-the-art place. Imagine the scene. Kickoff at 19:00 UTC. Now, for dedicated fans in, say, Taipei, that meant a seriously early start, 3:00 a.m.
Ouch. Yeah, that's dedication right there.
Totally. But despite time zones like that, the stadium was rammed. Absolutely packed. We're talking around 65,000 spectators. The atmosphere, just electric. You could almost feel it. And you have to remember, this was a unique occasion, the first ever 32-team FIFA Club World Cup. History being made. The energy in that stadium definitely matched the sheer size of the event.
Definitely. And those pre-match stakes, as you touched on, they just couldn't have been higher.
Right.
Like you said, both teams arriving in Orlando at exactly the same footing. 6 points each, identical goal difference. It's rare at this level.
It really is.
And this wasn't just about, bragging rights or feeling good. The consequences were very real, very tangible. The winner of this match, they'd grab first place in Group G. Simple as that. And getting that top spot gives you a colossal advantage, tactically speaking. It usually means a potentially much easier route in the knockout stages, avoiding the other big guns early on.
Which is exactly what a team like City, with their ambitions, would be aiming for, that pathway to the final.
Precisely. But there was another factor, wasn't there? Something often overlooked, but potentially massive.
Ah, yes, the Florida factor. The relentless Orlando heat and humidity.
Exactly.
This was June in Florida. Completely different from, a chilly night in Manchester or Turin. This was intense.
Like playing in a sauna sometimes?
Right, and we heard from both managers acknowledging it. Pep Guardiola, City's boss, was quoted saying, "We must be ready to suffer in the heat." Straight up.
All right.
And Igor Tudor, the Juventus coach, he echoed that. He said, this heat, the summer sun at 3 p.m. is not ideal conditions for playing soccer. Pretty blunt.
No kidding.
So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much did those conditions, the heat, the humidity, how much did they actually impact player performance, endurance, and maybe even more importantly, the tactical approaches? What could they realistically pull off for 90 minutes in that heat?
That's a great point. It's often underestimated, that environmental strategic calculus. And Guardiola's comments, they reveal that sort of deeper level of planning, don't they? Beyond just the opponent. He mentioned Rico Lewis's suspension being an important rest. Now that sounds odd, right? A key player out.
Yeah, a bit counterintuitive.
But it hints at that long-term view. Managing player welfare in a packed tournament schedule like this new Club World Cup. It shows he's thinking ahead, keeping players fresh for potentially tougher games later on. He also said something interesting, wanting the team to find that feeling of being a good team again. That suggests a psychological element, too, beyond just tactics.
Getting that confidence back, maybe. That's swagger.
Could be. And then you have Tudor, the U coaches. His comments before the game were, well, full of respect. Immense respect for City. He put them alongside Real Madrid as the best teams in the world in the last 10 years. High praise.
Wow.
And he even called Guardiola the best coach in the world. publicly.
That sets a certain tone, doesn't it? Acknowledging the scale of the challenge.
It really does. And it makes you, the listener, think.
Yeah.
How often do we really factor in these outside things? The weather, the coach's mindsets, how a suspension is framed. It's rarely just about the 11 players on the pitch, is it? It's about mastering all these surrounding elements.
Absolutely. That pregame picture is crystal clear. Huge pressure. But then the whistle blows and bang. All those plans get tested immediately. And honestly, if you blinked, you might have missed the start. It was that frantic.
It really was.
Our sources said the game just exploded into a white-hot state, blistering pace right from the off.
No easing into it.
None at all. Just this chaotic, thrilling rush of early goals. It set a really aggressive tone for the whole 90 minutes, a whirlwind start.
Absolutely. City drew first blood, didn't they?
They did. True to form, quick starters, just the 9th minute. It was Jeremy Doku, the winger, opened the scoring for City, clinical finish. That immediately put Juventus on the back foot, didn't it? Chasing the game almost instantly.
A real statement of intent from City, laying down a marker.
But credit to Juventus. This being a clash of giants, they hit back. And fast.
Showed their character there.
Definitely. Just 2 minutes later, 11th minute, Toonkirk Miners, the midfielder, equalizes for Juve. That rapid response, it just underlined the intensity. Juventus weren't rolling over.
Not at all. It showed they had teeth, they had resilience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then came a moment that really shifted things. Something unexpected. Proof that soccer can just turn on a dime.
Yes, the own goal.
The own goal, 26th minute. A really unfortunate moment for Juventus. Their defender, Pierre Kalulu, puts it into his own net. City back in front, 2-1.
But the build-up to that was fascinating, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Almost cruel.
It really was. It actually started with a mistake at the other end. Ederson, City's keeper, made an uncharacteristic clearance error.
Right, a rare slip from him.
And Juventus had a golden chance right there. Capitalize on the mistake, take the lead maybe. But they couldn't convert.
A missed opportunity.
A huge missed opportunity. And then almost immediately comes the ironic twist. Their own defensive mix-up leads directly to the own goal.
From potential lead to deficit, just like that. Brutal.
Absolutely brutal. You have to wonder about the psychological impact at that exact moment. An own goal, especially right after you fought back to equalize, that must be absolutely crushing.
Oh, incredibly deflating. How do you recover from that self-inflicted wound on such a massive stage?
It's a huge test of mentality.
It really is. And the tactical implications of those early goals are just immense. They shape that whole first half. Doku's opener for City, it probably exposed a momentary lapse in Juve's shape, maybe out wide, maybe tracking runners. City pounce on things like
It's
that.
so quick in transition.
Exactly. It forces Juve into an immediate rethink. But then, Koopmeiner's equalizer, that wasn't just a goal, it was defiant. It showed their attacking intent, their resilience. They weren't just there to defend, they came to play.
Prove they could hurt City.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then that own goal sequence, it's so telling. Starts with Ederson's mistake, a gift, really. Juventus failed to take it, maybe rushed it, maybe good scrambling from City, who knows?
What ifs?
Right. And that failure then sets the stage for the own goal. It's a perfect example of those razor-thin margins at the top level. And it raises that question again. How do teams react under that sudden, intense pressure? Do they fold or do they find a response?
In this case, it seemed to knock the wind out of their sails for a bit.
It certainly seemed that way. And these chaotic openings, they just rip up the pregame script, don't they? Force immediate, on-the-fly changes from the coaches, test their tactical flexibility right from the start, no room for error.
That first half was definitely a whirlwind. Goals, errors, momentum swings, pure spectacle. But the second half, well, that brought perhaps the defining moment. Largely thanks to one key substitution.
Oh, the halftime change.
Yep. City holding that narrow 2-1 lead. Pep Guardiola decides to make a change. He brings on the main man, Erling Haaland, for Omar Marmoush.
A statement substitution.
Oh, absolutely. And it wasn't just any sub. The impact was immediate, profound, and totally game-altering.
You could feel the shift.
Instantly. Just 7 minutes into the second half. 52nd minute on the clock. Haaland gets his goal. But not just any goal. His milestone 300th career goal.
Incredible landmark.
Truly incredible. The assist came from Matheus Nunes, by the way. A perfectly precise pass to set it up.
Nice link up.
But the achievement itself, 300 goals.
Yeah.
In just 370 professional games. Just wrap your head around that pace.
It's just phenomenal. Almost unbelievable.
Our sources were highlighting it faster than Mbappe, faster than Messi, faster than Ronaldo to reach 300.
That puts it in perspective, doesn't it? We're talking about the all-time greats there.
Exactly. The sheer relentless efficiency of the man. What do you even make of that kind of scoring rate? Is it just him, or is something changing?
That's a massive question. And Haaland's milestone, it's more than just a number, isn't it? It feels like a statement about his place in history, maybe even a shift in what we expect from strikers. Let's break it down. 123 for City in just 145 games. That's nearly a goal a game. Then 86 for Dortmund, 42 for Norway. It confirms he's one of the fastest ever to hit 300 and one of the youngest to do it in the Club World Cup. It's not just power, it's movement, finishing, instinct. A combination of his talent and City's system, maybe.
It seems like a perfect storm.
It really does. And it makes you wonder about his legacy and, yeah, maybe the future benchmarks for goal scoring. Are we seeing a new standard being set, driven by athleticism, tactics, maybe the way the modern game is played?
Fascinating stuff. And Guardiola bringing him on at halftime, even leading 2-1.
Yeah, that was pure tactical genius, wasn't it? No sitting back.
Not a chance. It screamed intent. We're not just holding this lead, we're going for the kill.
Exactly. And Haaland's presence alone just changes everything on the pitch. Defenders have to pay him so much attention, maybe double up, and that automatically creates space for others.
Like Foden, like Savinho.
Precisely. So even beyond his goal, bringing him on a likely stretch that Juve defense thin disrupted their whole setup, and that created the chances that Foden and Savinho then took so clinically later on.
Right, because City didn't stop there, did they?
Not at all. They really turned the screw.
Phil Foden made it 4-1 in the 69th minute.
Clinical finish from him, too.
Then Savinho added another 75th minute, 5-1. It was becoming a rout.
It really showed their attacking depth and quality, just ruthless.
Juventus did get a consolation goal. Dusan Vlahovic in the 84th minute made it 5-2.
A bit too little, too late by then, though. The damage was done.
Yeah, the outcome wasn't really in doubt at that point, but that second half performance from City?
It was decisive. And it raises another question for the listener, doesn't it? When a team puts in a second half showing like that, just steps on the gas and blows the opposition away, how much does that shape their reputation, their confidence going forward in a tough tournament? Does it build that aura, that fear factor?
It has to, right? Sends a real message. Okay, so let's peel back the layers a bit more. Look at the tactics, the data. What explains this dominance? Let's start with the formations. City, no surprise, in their classic 4-2-3-1.
Their bread and butter under Pep.
Exactly. Stefan Ortega in goal. Defense, Aït-Nouri, Vardiol, Kusanov, Akanji. And the midfield, the control center. Rodri starting his first game back after that ACL injury.
Which is huge. An ACL tear usually means months out. A massive boost for them to have him back.
Absolutely massive. He just anchors that midfield pivot alongside Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. His presence, his control, his passing range. You just can't overstate his importance. He runs the show.
He really does. The conductor, as you said.
On the other side, Juventus. Igor Tudor went with a 3-4-3. Apparently the third straight match they'd use that setup, so a clear tactical choice.
Yes, indeed, their guns.
Yep. Mikel Di Gregorio in goal. A back three of Costa, Kelly, and Savona. Now, a 3-4-3 against City's 4-2-3-1.
Tactically, that's interesting.
It is. The 3-4-3 gives you width from the wingbacks, aims for attacking threat there. But it can leave you a bit outnumbered in central midfield against a 4-2-3-1, which naturally has those two deeper midfielders plus the number 10.
Right. A potential weakness City could exploit, and those wingbacks have a ton of ground to cover. A huge workload, defensively and offensively.
Before we hit the stats, though, gotta mention Kenan Yildiz for Juventus.
Ah, yes, the young forward.
So he'd apparently been impressive throughout the tournament, already had 3 goals before this game.
A real bright spark for them.
Yeah, fans were still praising him online even after the loss. Clearly a big talent.
Good point. Individual quality shining through, even in a tough team result. Okay, so the numbers.
Let's dig in. What do the stats tell us?
Well, they paint a pretty clear picture of City's control. Possession first. City at 62%. Juventus just 38%. That right there clearly showed the gap in strength, as one source put it. City just dictated the game's rhythm.
When you have that much ball, you limit the opponent's chances drastically.
Exactly, and it translated into offense. Shots. City 15, Juventus only 7. That's more than double the attempts. Shows City's constant pressure, keeping that Juve defense working overtime.
And constantly creating danger.
Right. Corners, too. City 8, Juventus 3. Again, reinforcing where the game was being played, mostly around the Juventus box.
Makes sense. What about fouls?
Pretty even, actually. City 12, Juventus 10. Suggests it was competitive, moderately intense, but not overly aggressive or dirty.
Okay, so control, offensive pressure. What about the squad management aspect?
Ah, yeah, that's classic Guardiola. The
Yeah.
depth and rotation. The sources highlighted he'd used 25 different players across just their first 2 Club World Cup games. 25.
Wow, that's serious rotation.
It's crucial, isn't it? Especially in a dense schedule like this tournament. Short turnaround between big games, it keeps players fresh, manages fatigue, helps avoid burnout and injuries down the line.
It's a massive advantage if you have the quality depth to do it without the level dropping.
Absolutely. And it raises that key question about modern elite soccer. How vital is having that deep, versatile bench? It feels almost non-negotiable now to compete on all fronts.
Definitely. So tying those stats back to the tactics.
Okay, so City's high possession and shot count. That directly reflects how their 4-2-3-1, especially with Rodri back controlling things, just dominated the middle of the park. They could pass, probe, wait for openings, then use their attackers to break through. Rodri's return was absolutely pivotal there. His control is world-class.
And Juventus's lower numbers.
It suggests their 3-4-3, well, maybe good for width, struggled to disrupt City's flow through the middle. They couldn't get a foothold or sustain attacks. City's formation, with that extra man in midfield essentially, could snuff out danger quickly and win the ball back. Blunt use attack.
So the numbers really do back up what we saw City controlling the game through their system.
Precisely. It's not just dry data. It paints that vivid picture of the tactical battle. Helps you, the listener, really visualize the flow and ultimately the dominance.
Yeah, it really brings it to life and explains the why. Okay, let's zoom out. Bigger picture. What were the consequences of this result, particularly for the knockout stages?
That's huge consequences.
For City, winning Group G was their big reward. They now face the runner-up from Group H in the round of 16, which crucially means they're likely avoiding strong Real Madrid, who everyone expects to win Group H.
That's a massive strategic win right there. A potentially smoother path, on paper at least.
Absolutely. Avoiding a giant like Madrid early on, huge.
Definitely.
Right.
But for Juventus, the story's different.
Yeah, the flip side. As Group G runners-up, the old lady, as they're known,
Good old nickname.
they now have to face the winner of Group H, which, as we just said, is most likely Real Madrid.
Oof. It's a tough draw. A severe test, as the sources call it, right out of the gate in the knockouts.
It really hammers home how one group stage match can just completely alter your tournament journey, doesn't it? Fine margins.
Incredibly fine. And there was that interesting bit of history you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the contrast. Just 6 months before this, in the Champions League, Juventus had actually beaten City 2-0 at home.
A significant result back then.
Totally. But this match, neutral venue, Orlando Heat, it was, quote, a completely different story.
Which makes you think,
Right.
About home advantage, about how quickly teams evolve, adapt.
Or maybe just how different competitions and contexts bring out different performances.
All of the above, probably.
Yeah.
That context is key. And the global attention on this game was massive, too. DairyZN streamed it free worldwide. TNT Sports. Univision had it in the U.S. Huge reach.
So the world was watching.
Definitely. And the media reaction reflected that. We saw an ESPN analyst saying City showed a glimpse of their old selves, suggesting they were maybe hitting top form again after maybe a less convincing spell.
Interesting phrasing. Finding their rhythm.
Exactly. That kind of narrative matters. And fan reactions, too. Even with the loss, U fans were still all over social media praising Kenan Yildiz, seeing his great potential, identifying that future star.
Finding the positives.
While City fans, understandably, were buzzing about Haaland's 300th goal, cementing his legendary status even further.
Milestone moments capture the imagination.
They really do. And we have to talk about the tournament itself. This first ever 32-team Club World Cup. It's a big deal. Huge prize pool, $1 billion total. The winner gets $125 million.
Wow, that's serious money. Changes the game for clubs.
Absolutely. Makes it incredibly attractive. And the U.S. hosting it has special significance. It seems as vital prep for hosting the 2026 World Cup. A chance to showcase their ability to handle these massive global soccer events.
A dress rehearsal on a grand scale.
Precisely. And it leads to that bigger question about global club soccer, doesn't it? Are these expanded international tournaments becoming, well, just as important, maybe even more important than domestic leagues in terms of prestige, money, global brand?
It feels like the landscape is definitely shifting. This Club World Cup feels like a step up.
It really does. And ultimately, this 5-2 win for City, It was way more than just a good start. It was a statement. It showcased their dominance, their tactical flexibility, their ability to adapt. It lays down a really solid foundation for the knockout stage. A clear message sent. City mean business.
So we've really unpacked a remarkable match here, haven't we? A dominant City win, that historic Haaland milestone, and a massive strategic victory, setting them up for the knockouts. And hopefully, this deep dive helps you, the listener, get beyond just that 5-2 scoreline and understand all those crucial nuances.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a final thought, perhaps a question for you to ponder. Beyond the goals, beyond the stats, what does Manchester City's ability, their proven ability to adapt to tough conditions, to bounce back from mistakes, to use that incredible squad depth, what does it all say about their potential to maybe redefine dominance in modern soccer, especially in these big, new global tournaments? What qualities do you think are the most critical for success in this new era of international club soccer? It's something to think about.
That's a brilliant thought to leave everyone with. Definitely something worth mulling over. Keep exploring, keep questioning. Thanks for diving deep with us.